Good afternoon everybody, and now we are at the Mie Laiker in South Sumatera, and I will show you, and this is some hazard potential that may have to harm some people at when they work. Come on. And this is the table, you can see, and let's go to the kitchen. We are in the kitchen now, and I will give you one sample hazard potential. Come on. This is the one of the hazard potential. You can see. As you can see this is Binus Square power generator.
Excuse me, Dan, but you should be alert when you are cooking and keep anything that can catch fire away from the stovetop. Good job, Dan.
It's 2nd and 10 at the 42nd yard line. Kettleman takes the snap, he passes it to Krasinski, and it looks like Krasinski is going to go all the way. He's at the 40, the 30, the 20, the 10, oh, and he's tackled at the 5-yard line. We have time for a quick commercial break, and we're back. Kettleman escapes out.
Always stay in the kitchen when you're frying, grilling, or broiling food.
And coming around the final turn, it's
That's great, Dan. Now, stay.
Like my 17th cousin, who is 156 times removed from any side. I'll save you, baby! Okay. Don't burn yourself, baby Herman!
Any kitchen, industrial, commercial or domestic, is a potentially hazardous place. There are hazards associated with heat: ovens, grills, hot plates, deep fryers, flames, hot utensils and equipment. Sharp items pose another hazard: knives, slicers, sharp edges on benches and containers. Wet surfaces are common in kitchens. They can lead to slips, bumps and burns. And there's the risk posed to food safety if kitchen staff don't pay attention to personal hygiene or do not handle, store and label food correctly. Anyone working in a kitchen or who comes into contact with food must be trained to work safely. Food safety and workplace health and safety have a wide range of laws and regulations in Australia. For example, all premises, events and people involved in food handling are categorised into 4 classes, with differing legal and regulatory requirements when it comes to food safety.
Class 1's being aged care, health care, infirmaries, childcare centres, anywhere where we feed the sick, the weak, the vulnerable. Class 2 premises are our supermarkets, our restaurants, our cafes and our pubs. Class 3 are our convenience stores, milk bars and those sort of places. And our Class 4 places are our sausage sizzles and anywhere where we might do a fundraiser.
In the industrial kitchen at Bendigo Health in Victoria, thousands of meals are prepared each week to feed people of all ages with a wide diversity of dietary needs. They include patients and elderly people in care. Kitchen floor space is around 400 square metres. A team of 13 people are employed in various capacities, and it is categorised Class 1.
We are regulated quite heavily. We are independently audited once a year. The environmental health officer, as in all class premises, can walk in at any time they like, but they audit us once a year, at least once a year. We're also internally audited as part of our food safety program and food safety plan, a minimum 4 times a year. So we're audited roughly 6 times a year to ensure that our processes, our steps, and that is validated through our documentation, our corrective action procedures, our recalls, our feedback, our follow-ups, our documentation of our fridge, documentation of our cleaning schedules, the documentations of our incoming goods and supplies.
Regardless of the size and scale of operations, some basic principles about food safety and safe work practices apply in all kitchens.
Hi, I'm Fernando Mojica with coffeeonline.com. Thank you for joining us today. We're going to talk about the top 10 safety and sanitation tips for the kitchen, the most important things that you want to keep in mind where you're working in a professional kitchen, but also when you're working at home. In no particular order, one of the most important things to keep in mind when you're working, especially in a professional kitchen, is to make sure that all your managers and all your staff are properly trained and properly educated on the safety and sanitation rules and bylaws that affect not only every kitchen but also the local health department. The reason you want managers and staff to be trained is because your managers are going to train your staff. If your managers are not well trained, if they're not properly trained, they won't train your staff the right way, so all your hourly employees, all your frontline employees won't be able to know what's right, what's wrong, and what's the right things to do. The second tip you want to keep in mind is to wash your hands. This is very, very important. If you don't wash your hands properly, if you're not washing your hands constantly, you're creating all kinds of havoc on foodborne illnesses, you're creating all kinds of cross-contamination. It's very important that you wash your hands after you use the facilities, after you use the washroom, after you smoke, if you touch your hair, if you touch your nose, if you touch your eyes. Also especially important to do it after handling raw ingredients, potentially hazardous foods like chicken, like beef, like fish. The third tip we want to talk about is to wash all your produce. It's very important that you wash all your produce, all your fruits. The reason it's very important is because when the farmers irrigate their fields, sometimes without knowing it, they use contaminated water. The water can be contaminated. That contaminates the produce. Then if it gets to you and you don't wash it, if you don't wash it before using it, then you just kind of continue that cross-contamination. The fourth thing we're going to talk about is to how to properly store and refrigerate food. It's very important that we keep the food at the right temperature. Hot food hot, cold food cold. So stuff that needs to be refrigerated needs to be under 40 degrees. That is all your dairy, some of your produce, all your chicken, your beef, all seafood, all the stuff that's easily perishable. If it needs to be under 40 degrees, you also want to make sure that you keep it in the right position in the cooler. You want to make sure that all your raw material is at the bottom, all your final prepared, cooked, ready-to-eat food is at the top. Tip number 5 to keep in mind is to cook food to the proper temperature. It's very important. Again, these are in no particular order, so this is actually one of the most important things that you want to keep in mind. Cooking the food to the temperature should be chicken 165 degrees, beef, depending on the temperature of the beef, anywhere from 115 to 140. You want to make sure that everything is cooked to the right food. Again, hot food hot, cold food cold. If you cook something and it's undercooked, for example, chicken, if you don't cook chicken to 165 degrees, that chicken is going to be raw. You feed that to someone eats raw chicken, that can create a whole case of foodborne illness, foodborne illness outbreak. So you want to make sure that you want to cook the food to the right temperature, right food to the right temperature all the time. Very important. Tip number 6 is to clean and sanitize all food contact surfaces. This means tables, this means the coolers, this means the oven, this means the stove. You want to make sure that everything is clean and sanitized. There's a big difference between having something clean and having something sanitized. If it's clean, the visible dirt is not there anymore. That means being clean. Sanitation means to sanitize means to remove all the invisible bacteria. So you always want to make sure that you have a clean towel that you can clean with. You also want to make sure that you have some sort of sanitation solution for your cutting boards, for your tables, for your stove. This is going to prevent cross-contamination. This is going to make sure that you keep a clean environment, and it's going to keep a safe kitchen. Tip number 7 is to perform self-health inspection. What that means is basically that you are doing your own health inspection in your own establishments. One of the ways to do it is to go to your local health department. Once you go to your local health department, ask them for a copy of a food or restaurant inspection. What this is going to get is going to be a blank copy of the inspections that the food health department uses to inspect your restaurants. Another way of doing it is to reach out to local contractors. There's companies out there that specifically all they do is they go around and they inspect restaurants, inspect professional kitchens. The 8th tip is to know your local food health codes, okay? Knowing your local food health codes is very important. Kind of wraps up a lot of the stuff that we've been talking about. If you know your local food health codes, some of the food health codes differ from one location to another. The 9th tip is to regularly check temperatures. This means temperatures in your coolers and your freezers. One way to do it, one way to ensure that you're constantly keeping track of everything that's happening in your cooler, in your food storage facilities, is to keep a temperature log in your coolers. Take temperatures at the beginning of the day, at some time during the middle of the day, and before the last person that goes off. 3 times a day is going to ensure that you know exactly that if something were to go wrong with your freezer or your cooler, you know exactly when's the last time that you check that food. It's going to give you enough of a period to save whatever food can be saved. It's going to know that you're going to know that if your freezer went out last night at midnight and it's now 8 p.m. at night, and you just noticed it and it went out, then you know that that food is no longer safe to eat. So keeping proper record of all your temperatures in your freezers, your cooler, all your food storage facilities is going to help you keep a safe kitchen. Number 10 is to check all your incoming food shipments. This is very, very important as well. If you are receiving food that's already spoiled, food that's not safe to eat, if you don't check it when it comes into your door, then there's no way you can backtrack it. There's no way you can prevent it from happening as it goes out to the guest. You always want to make sure that everything comes out at the right temperature it should be. Make sure that, for example, your fish is not spoiled. If you receive a spoiled fish at the door, that fish is going to be spoiled, and when you serve it, it's going to be spoiled. Therefore, you're going to cause people to get sick. It's going to be your kitchen is no longer going to be safe. So preventing it at the door is very important. It's one of the most important things to do. Always making sure that you receive proper food at the proper shipments, at the proper temperatures, in the proper condition.